can tell me what this unique food item is. Is it a pretzel?
I can't see it.
An ice cream cone?
Anybody?
Is it churro?
Oh my gosh, it's an umbrella. I don't know.
A deep fried umbrella.
Yeah.
What is this?
Good.
My
Crunch.
kids will be happy to have their Captain Crunch.
Darn.
This is called a Wonder Stick. If Captain Crunch and Bluebell homemade vanilla ice cream had a baby, this would be the result.
Mm.
According to Science Daily, the U.S. alone spends $90 billion annually to aid hunger-related charities. That's $90 billion from my paycheck and every paycheck of every working American. Today, I want to show you a way that we can change that. My name is Ashley Inslee, and I'm an Intro to Communications student here at UALR. I'm going to tell you about my service learning. First, I'm going to tell you about what I did at my service learning. Then I'm going to tell you about an important principle and 2 concepts that pertain to my service learning. And finally, I'm going to tell you how I can improve my communication. So let's begin. I completed my service learning at the Little Rock Food Truck Festival in conjunction with Heifer International. According to heifer.org, their mission statement is, Heifer International works with communities to increase income, improve child nutrition, care for the earth, and ultimately end world hunger and poverty. Heifer International addresses an important issue facing our nation today. During my service learning, I worked with Jennifer and Ellen. They were both friendly and knowledgeable about all things heifer related. They also gave me this cool shirt that I'm wearing today. The festival was located in Little Rock on Main Street, which is only about 3 miles from Heifer International headquarters. I oversaw the Bago game station. It left my hands dusty from the corn inside the dried bags. Throughout the day, I played with kids and or adults who didn't have partners. I taught people how to play the game, and I interacted with people about what Heifer does for their community and for the nation. The best way that I contributed to Heifer International's mission that day was through getting the name out to the community in a positive way and creating lasting memories in the people that I spoke with, which would hopefully lead to them supporting Heifer International through monetary contributions or service work so that they can continue their mission. Many communication skills and principles and concepts came into play during my service experience, but I want to tell you about a few that were particularly applicable to my day. There was 1 key principle and 2 key communication concepts connected to my service experience. All 3 are important to building a good foundation of communication, which would serve you well throughout your career and personal life. The relevant communication principle is communication involves verbal and nonverbal messages. The definition, according to the UALR Survival Guide 2018, is all behavior has symbolic potential. That includes the words we speak, as well as our vocal, the tone of our voice and the pitch rate, and non-vocal, pause and silence, and nonverbal communication. An example from my service that illustrates this principle is how I gained the attention of onlookers that were focused on the food trucks. As they were walking by, I would toss the corn bag up into the air. When they looked over from the movement, I would make eye contact, raise the bag toward them, and raise my eyebrows. That was a nonverbal invitation to come play that repeatedly drew people over to our tent. The first communication concept that was relevant to my service learning is convergence. According to Adler, Rodman, and Dupree 2016, convergence is defined as accommodating one's speaking style to another person, usually a person who is desirable or has a higher status. An example of this from my service learning is when I tailored Heifer's mission to depend on who I was speaking with. If I was speaking to a child, I might say that we teach people how to feed themselves so they never go hungry again. If I was speaking to an adult or potential donor, I might say we teach sustainable methods of providing food and income to countries that would otherwise have no avenue to obtain this type of knowledge. The second communication concept that was relevant to my service learning is opinion statement. It's defined in our textbook as a statement based on the speaker's beliefs. An example from my service learning that illustrates this concept is when I was asked if I thought Heifer International provided a more sustainable method of feeding people than Riceland. Both are great charities, but I believed Heifer provided a more sustainable method. The reason why is because Riceland provides you with food, whereas Heifer International teaches you how to cultivate your own food. Based on my services experience, I can use communication concepts and ethical implications to improve my communication and help my community. As a community and as a nation, we must listen and understand each other in order to solve the problems we are facing. One concept I can use to improve my communication would be analytical listening. Analytical listening is defined by our textbook as listening in which the primary goal is to fully understand the message. Prior to any evaluation, I chose this concept because when communicating with people, sometimes I listen to the first few sentences and then I zone out because I'm thinking about what my response will be. If I could train myself to listen analytically, I could become a better communicator. The ethical implication I can use to improve my community would be respect. Respect is defined by the Survival Guide as actively listening to and showing regard for the ideas of others before evaluating and responding to their messages. I chose this implication based on my service learning experience because I never want to appear as being disrespectful, especially when representing a charity. By failing to actively listen to the entire conversation, I'm not affording the respect due to someone who took time to stop and learn about how we can work together to help our community. In conclusion, I have told you about what my service learning experience was. First, I told you what I did, then I told you about a principle and 2 key concepts that pertain to my service learning. And finally, I share with you a few ways that I can improve my own communication. We all must learn to communicate effectively with one another in order to address the problems facing our nation today. Communication is fluid and constantly evolving, so it's important to keep an open mind and always be willing to learn from each other. Which brings me back to my first slide. When I first showed you this picture, it was a fun way to get your attention. But now I want you to look at it again and think about what this picture represents to you. To me, this picture represents extravagance. We live in a country that spends $90 billion a year feeding people who are hungry. That same country orchestrates food events that are focused on the overconsumption of food. What can we do to change that? How can we bridge the gap?